Hello Year 5, it's Mrs Gallagher, and today we're going to continue with our Henri Rosseau final pieces. So over the last two lessons we have looked at different aspects of our final piece and we've separated it into three sections. So the first section that we completed was the foreground, and the foreground is the part of the drawing which looks the closest to you, which is this section here, which included greenery, leaves, flowers and plants. Then last lesson we looked at how to create the middle ground of an Henri Rosseau inspired piece, and we started to incorporate two trees. We also added some animals, which is a very common aspect of Henri Rosseau's middle ground throughout his work. So I added a snake, a tiger and a toucan bird. Everyone's piece is going to be slightly different depending on how you chose to compose it over the last two lessons. But today, what I'm hoping to get finished is the background. So Henri Rosseau has certain similarities between each of his paintings when it comes to painting the background. And he usually includes a sun. He will also include some other elements. So I'm just going to quickly go over those with you now. So the first image that we're going to look at is this one. So we have got a nice orange sun, which is really clear. And we also have a gradient in the sky. So it goes from a pale blue and fades behind the sun into a white where it meets that horizon line. This second image has a more of an orangey red sun. It has a definite horizon line there where you can see the green finishes, and then it goes from white to yellow to blue, again in a gradient, so you can see that the colour is getting lighter as it's getting further towards that horizon line where the sun rises up from. And lastly we have this one. And this one is just a blue gradient. So it starts off from an intense blue and fades gradually until it gets here where the sun is rising and the sun is white. Okay. You'll notice on the examples here that where the sky starts, we have kind of greenery blocked off because that's where the land will finish and the sky will start. But before we do that, I would like to add a little bit more detail into our piece, and that is to start drawing behind our middle ground. And what we're going to start off by doing is really simple, and it is long grasses. So to do that, I'm going to leave a little gap from the top of my tiger, and I'm simply going to draw. It's a little bit like snake plants but thinner. I'm going to draw different lengths. I'm going to have them maybe going slightly curved in areas. And I'm just going to draw that all the way along behind my middle ground. So I'm going to go behind this tree where it pokes out here. I'm going to add a little bit more. And I'm also going to take it we're not going all the way down to the objects underneath, and that's for a reason. It's going to make it a lot easier when we add the colour in later. Again, I'm going to take that just slightly behind my middle ground. So we've got those long grasses, and then behind those long grasses, you've guessed it, we're going to do what you've just seen on those images, and we're going to start off by doing a line which is slightly higher up than the long grasses, and we're going to do not a perfect straight line. It's actually going to be curved in areas, and this is going to be our final layer of greenery before we start the sky. Okay, like so. So just recap that. So we're going to leave a little bit of a gap, and then you're going to draw long grasses all the way across. Make sure you go behind the things in the middle ground. so behind those trees. If there's any gaps, you can fill it in. And then we're just adding that final horizon line across. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw the sun. Now, it can be quite hard to draw a circular shape, especially if you haven't got a stencil at home. So I would like you to find something that is circular. So I've got a sharpener here that is perfect for this. If anything, it's a tiny bit big. You could use a £2 coin. You might decide to use a lid off something. Whatever you have handy, please use. And then I want you to put it into the centre of the piece and carefully draw around it like so to create your sun. And that's it in terms of drawing. So now we're going to get ready to apply some colour. So if you haven't got the colours with you right now, then just pause the video and go and grab your colours, and then you can come back. And the colours that you're going to need are yellow, blue, orange, red, and maybe pale green. We'll see how far we get. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to start off with the pale blue. And we're going to start to add the gradient starting from the top of the drawing. So I'm going to show you how to do a gradient. So we're going to start off along the very top, and I'm holding my pencil, I'll say halfway down, and I'm doing a circular motion. Okay, bear in mind that I have had a lot more experience than all of you because I'm old. So I'm expecting you to do this a lot slower than I am. I'm just doing it fast because I've had a lot of practice, and obviously I want you to have as much time in the lesson to complete your work yourself. So I'm just doing all the way across the top, circular motions, holding my pencil halfway down. And I'm going roughly about a finger width down. I'm not drawing a line or anything, I'm just roughly going a finger width down. And I'm going to go all the way across the top, like so. Then I'm going to move my fingers further down, so I'm 3/4 of the way. I'm going to keep my pencil flat, and I'm going to do more circular motions. And because I've moved my hand further down the pencil, I'm actually automatically going to fade my colour. And again, I want you to bring it further down the page. Make sure that you overlap the colour that you have done previously, and then you drag it down. And that way, you'll get a nice smooth finish. I'm just going to concentrate on this middle section here, just because if I'm to do the whole thing during the tutorial, it would take a little bit too long. So I'm just fading it, and at the moment I am, move that up slightly. At the moment I am now about 2 to 3 fingers down, yeah. And you're just going to keep bringing it down slowly until you can get that blue to completely disappear. And to do that, you just need to gradually move your hand further down the pencil, and the pencil will become flatter to the paper. And that will stop you from applying pressure and therefore fade the colour out. Circular motions. Try not to go into any of the other drawings, but if you do happen to go into them a little bit, don't panic, we can fix that. Okay, and then go back up, and again just keep bringing it down and fading it out. You're going to do that all the way across, not just in the centre where I'm doing it here. So you have a gradient from the top of the page, and it will gradually fade. Now I'm going to do another layer, and what doing a second layer all over, again, don't forget you need to vary your pressure, it will do is it will get rid of any bits that you might have missed, perhaps any white areas which you've left out by accident, and it will give you a much smoother application of colour. As long as you keep working in a circular motion and you're using a light pressure, then the results will be great. Okay, so I have now got a gradient of blue. I have got my sun, and then I have got that horizon line. Where the horizon line is, I'm going to start to create a bit more of a rainforest atmosphere. Now, don't forget that rainforests are tropical and the weather conditions reflect this. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to start the yellow off at the horizon line. So I'm going to start off by going all the way across my horizon line. So where we done that line. You can do that all the way across. Okay. And now I actually find it a lot easier to turn the page sideways at this point because it helps with the pressure. And I'm going to do a similar thing to what I've just done with the blue with the yellow, sorry. So I'm just going to do circular motions and bring it up slightly. If you go over any of the grasses, please do not worry because the grass will be green, which will easily go over the yellow. So just focus on getting your yellow nice and smooth. Again, all the way across. I'm just going to focus on this middle part. And then move your hand further down and bring it up a little bit more. Bring your hand further down, so touching the very end, and disappear it into the blue. Now I'm actually going to overlap them slightly. I'm going to bring the yellow into the blue. It's really, really important that you don't press hard when you overlap the two colours because that will make the join where the colours meet obvious and therefore they won't blend into each other and really have that sunrise, sunset effect. So just keep layering that up until you're happy with it. Once you get to this stage, we are then ready to add the sun. And we're going to do the sun in a orangey red tone. So we're going to start off by using orange and we're going to outline. So I actually find it easier to turn the page while I do this. Make sure your pencil's sharp when you're doing the sun and that will give you a nice neat edge on the circle. You don't want to end up with any suns which are not circular for all your hard work. Really take your time. Once I've done my surrounding edge, I'm then just going to use circular motions to fill out the middle of that sun and keep building it up until I've got a nice even layer. And then now we're going to add some of the red. Now if I was to just add red, it's not going to have that undertone of the orange coming through, which will give the piece depth. So we're going to do the same thing with the red. We're going to go around the outside. Nice mid pressure. Don't press really hard, we want to see some of this orange coming through. And then once we've got the border done, once again, I'm just going to go all the way over the entire shape until I've got a nice even layer. Using the circular motion as always. And I want it to be a little bit more orange, so I'm actually going to do a layer over the top of that with orange. It's my final layer. Okay, and that's all that we've got time for today. So you are only to add colour, okay, and I will repeat this again because it's very important. You're only to add colour as shown on the sky. You are not to apply colour on anywhere else on your piece of art, okay? So only the sky, nowhere else. We will apply the colour on the rest of the piece once you return to school next week. I'm very excited to see you all. If you could please bring in your Henri Rosseau pieces to school for your lesson, and then we can finish them off in class. Please upload a photograph at the end of the lesson if you wish to have feedback, and don't forget your work when you return to school. Thank you very much. Bye.